Hello and a warm welcome to Viewer Television Top Stories. My name is Philip Sliven. President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja said his regime had significantly degraded the Boko Haram insurgents whose activities destabilized Nigeria's northeast. He added that his government was tackling oil theft head-on, especially with the interception of over 220 vessels involved in maritime criminality within Nigeria's exclusive economic zone since 2018 to date. Buhari also said the Nigeria's Navy campaign against crude oil theft has led to the arrest of over 87 oil tankers, recovering 15 million liters of petrol and diesels, and preserving over 3 trillion barrels of crude oil from theft. The United States has condemned voter intimidation and increased violence that marred Saturday's governorship and state houses of assembly elections in Nigeria. The rescheduled governorship and houses of assembly elections was held in 28 states of the federation, with incidences of violence and voter intimidation. The U.S. Embassy, in a statement, said though the March 18 governorship and state assembly polls appear to have had significant operational improvements, however, America commended stakeholders who spoke against the violence and intimidation visited on voters, saying it was a sign of respect for the democratic process. The U.S. also threatened to sanction perpetrators, calling on Nigerian authorities to probe reports on election violence. Now, the federal government has announced the removal of its proposed 5% excise duty on telecommunication services. The government announced that this was in line with the recommendation of a committee and the Presidential Review Committee on Excise Duty in the Digital Economy sector, which was constituted to review the implementation of excise duty in the telecom sector. Now, the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Isa Pantami, disclosed this at press briefing. He noted that the tax exemption will be upheld by the incoming administration. And on drug trafficking, a federal high court sitting in Lagos has convicted Okechukwu Ume, Larry Adebayo, and Adigun Adeshina, and Emmanuel Omije, who were arraigned on 3 counts bordering on drug trafficking. This is just as they forfeited the federal government the bus they used in conveying 532.8 kilograms of loud variant and cannabis on the day of their arrest, and the 3 million naira bribe they offered operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. The agency director, media and advocacy, Femi Babafemi, disclosed this in a statement made available to journalists. Now, Babafemi said the convicts were arraigned on 3 counts and that the trial judge, Justice Akin Tayo Oluko, on Thursday, March 16, convicted and sentenced each of them to 5 years on count 1 and 7 years each on count 2 and 3. Barry Andrew, European Union Chief Election Observation Mission Officer, says systematic weakness of election administration can affect Nigeria's democratic process. Andrew made this known at the second news briefing of the mission in Nigeria at the just concluded governorship and state houses of assembly elections held last Saturday in the country. Recall that governorship and state house of assembly elections was postponed from March 11th to March 18th to enable configuration of bimodal voter accreditation system by the Independent National Electoral Commission.
Holders to keep committed to a peaceful process and address any grievances through the courts. In this regard, I am mindful of the fact that various aspects of the presidential election have already been brought before the courts. I understand that petitions may also be submitted regarding several Senate and House of Representatives elections. That being said, it is important that this mission maintains its strict line of impartiality and non-interference in accordance with our observation methodology. Accordingly, I do not propose to discuss matters related to those elections as they are now likely to be sub judice.
According to Andrew, the coalition process is ongoing and EUEOM is continuing to observe its observation of this crucial phase of the elections. The Kano state government has lifted the dawn to dusk curfew imposed in the state. Now, Newsman reports that the state government on Monday imposed a curfew with a view of avoiding a breakdown of law and order. The order following tensions generated from the coalition of results of the governorship and state assembly elections. The State Commissioner for Information and Internal Affairs, Mohammed Garba, made the announcement lifting the curfew in the statement he issued on Monday night. He said the decision to lift the curfew followed a careful review of the situation and the relative calm throughout the state. And away from Nigeria, at least 12 people were killed in Afghanistan and Pakistan by the strong earthquake felt across thousands of kilometers, but the region appeared Wednesday to have dodged the mass casualties usually associated with tremor of such scale. The United States Geological Survey said the magnitude 6.5 quake was centered near Jurm in northeastern Afghanistan, but a depth of 187 kilometers, which is 116 miles, magitated extensive damage. The quake, which struck around 9:30 p.m. Kabul time on Tuesday and lasted more than 30 seconds, was felt from Central Asia to New Delhi in India, which is more than 2,000 kilometers away. And with that natural disaster story, we come to the end of top stories for now. Remember, you'll be having more bulletins as they unfold. Well, this is still Viewer Television, and on behalf of the rest of the production team, to have a lovely afternoon. Bye bye.